Fasting truly is a gift, but it could feel like a curse when you begin to fast food, okay? Or when you choose to fast things that you're just like, how am I going to do without this or that thing? And so today I want to have a conversation about how to fast without being legalistic and without being weird. So every time we are here on the show, we're always talking about ways to stay connected to God, to grow in our relationship with God, and then to just be here on this earth doing life as a Christian without being without being weird. You know what I mean? And talking about fasting is one of those things where I feel like that you can fast without being weird. Like you can fast without like acting like it's the end of the world, or where you can't, some people are like, I'm fasting, I cannot come down because I'm fasting, I'm with God. This could be me, the carnal version of me. So if I am, I repent as I'm sharing this. But I feel like sometimes we could just be really legalistic. We can be really weird, and it doesn't really have to be that way. And so I want to just tell you how I think that you could fast. Okay. So obviously we know that for what we know in the Bible, that when fasting was happening, they were fasting from food, right? But I'm sure there's other things in the Bible, but specifically most people know about the Daniel fast and so on, so on, and so on. But in today's time, obviously many of us, we fast from lots of different things. Like I've fasted from potato chips, from meat, from television, from social media, I've fasted from different things like that, just whatever, you know what I mean? And I have found that during my times of fasting that I literally can hear God clearer than I ever have. He can give me direction in a way that I hadn't heard prior to the fast, and it is a great way to just crush your flesh and say yes to your spirit, And I remember the first time I fasted, it was 2007, 8, or 9, one of them. And I was introduced to fasting through Lent, and some guy that I liked, and they were fasting. Like, I'm gonna fast with them. And I fasted from TV, potato chips, and something. And at the end of that fast, I had heard God for the first time in my life. And I was just like, who's talking? Like, what is going on? It's my very first time hearing him. And I was at church, and I was just like, is a pastor talking? But he was talking about something totally different. He wasn't talking about what I was hearing. I was like, what is going on? But I listened. The voice was so clear that it was like, I could not deny what I was hearing. It was like, I could not deny what I was hearing. And I was like, yes, art thou the Christ? You know what I'm saying? And I did what the voice said. The voice said, this was my last Sunday at this church. And that was my last Sunday at that church. And I went to a different church and then joined that one the next Sunday. And it's just been a journey ever since. And nowadays, back then it was like I kept going on this journey with people who would fast. And at times when I would be around certain people that fast, you could tell they were fasting. They looked miserable. They sounded miserable. Like their life was just not full of life during that time. They were just so miserable. And I was like, man, it sucks, But I understand it, especially when someone's on a 40-day fast, no food. I get it. You're like, moo child. I get it, But then other times I've been around people who are just like, when I'm fasting, I can't do this, or this. And there may be truth to that, because I don't know that person's relationship with God. But I have just found that we have an opportunity to be with God. We have an opportunity to fast, and we have an opportunity to still live a normal life, and I guess be able to be here in the world and not just weird, right? So for example, when I fast from potato chips or TV or whatever it is, I can fast from that. The whole world doesn't have to know that I'm doing that. You know what I mean? I don't have to constantly tell people I'm fasting. I'm like, oh, I'm just not having that right now. Oh, I'm just not doing that right now, or whatever, right? And I still can talk about other things or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So like, we're here at the beginning of 2026, and many times people go on fast during the beginning of the year, which I think is great. Probably it's God talking to me, telling me to do a fast. you know, we'll see. I'm sure he'll talk to me tonight. But anyway, and we have this opportunity to do a fast. It's just like clear the slate, be with God, hear God. What does he want us to know about this year, this week, this month, this quarter, whatever, you know what I mean? This decade. And we can do it without being legalistic. We can do it without talking bad about other people because they're doing something, or we can do it without making other people miserable if they're doing something. Like I watched somebody who was talking bad about people who were not vegan. And it was like, just because you chose to be vegan doesn't make you better. It just means that you chose to be vegan. Move on, you know? And if you're fasting to be with God, fast and be with God and move on. Don't be all weird and stuff. Don't make people feel bad or whatever for what you're doing with God when it's between you and the Lord. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want this to sound mean saying that, but I'm just saying you don't have to be weird. You know what I mean? You don't have to be so legalistic. Do it, be with God. And if you're finding that when you fast that you have to be alone, then go be alone, right? I'm not saying go be alone. I'm saying if that's what you have to do, then go and do that. But you don't want to make fasting a thing that people do not ever want to do because of how you are representing it. You know what I'm saying? It's like sometimes people represent marriage as if it's the worst thing on the planet. So then people don't want to get married, you know, or people make being single like the worst thing in the world. So then everybody wants to get married, right? And so if you're making fasting seem like it's the worst thing in the world, we're trying to be examples. People are not going to want to fast because we're making it seem like it's the worst thing in the world when it's really not. Okay. So I wanted to share that because I know we're at the beginning of 2026 and oftentimes we fast at the beginning of 2026. And I want to encourage you, if you're choosing to fast, go on that journey. It's going to be a beautiful journey, but just don't be weird about it.